Good afternoon and good evening to you all. For those who are connecting from West Africa or any other part of the world where it's evening at this time, or probably midnight. I know that people in India are already into tomorrow. Um, this is our second session, and today we'll be diving deeper into the theory of music. But before we proceed, I wanted to check up on everyone who is online today and see how you are doing with your practical sessions. I know that for acoustic guitar students, I'm currently working on the video editing for you guys, and just to show you once again for acoustic guitarists, this is what it looks like. Your video editing is coming in strong.
Viewed the videos that we posted on.
And if you give me the next 24 hours, I'm sure it will be fully ready for you to start working on your practicals. And then please feel free to put in the chat if your instrument has not yet been posted in the courses or on the YouTube channel. Put it in the chat for me so that I will know what instrument that is. Because last week we talked about, we did a poll where everyone mentioned what their primary instrument was. And I believe we had voice, piano, saxophone or trumpet. I wasn't sure which of the above, and then acoustic guitar. So we have posted materials for all the other ones except acoustic guitar. So if yours has not yet been posted, please indicate in the chat right now, and then we'll make sure we look into that in the next 3 days, because I want you to have enough materials. And if perhaps the material that was posted is below your level and you want something more challenging, also let me know. Or if there is a particular aspect on that instrument that you are struggling with. For example, I know that Jeremiah says he wanted more hands-on teaching on tonic sulfur. He wanted to understand tonic sulfur in depth and be able to make use of it for his singing. And I don't see him online right now, which means he will have to settle in for rewatching the video when the class is over. But
sorry, sir. Sorry, excuse me, sir. I'm
oh,
actually Jeremiah. Oide is my son name, sir.
okay, there you go. Sorry about that. All right. Okay, Jeremiah. I'm happy to see that you're online. Thank you very much for showing up. Okay. So as I was saying, we'll make sure we take good care of tonic sulfur stuff. That won't be an issue for you. And then if any material that was posted is too basic, if it's beginner level and you're looking for something more intermediate or advanced, please let me know, or you can chat me up on the website. There's a chat space there where you can send in a chat and I'll respond to you. So if I know exactly what you're looking for, that will help me tailor the materials to meet that aspect of your need musically. All right. So, having said that, last week we defined music. Can someone remind us of the definition of music? If you remember the full definition that we gave. Well, I won't make that a compulsory quiz right now, but it's good to go over your notes and make sure you remember the things we did in previous sessions. Awesome. Thank you very much, Victoria. Combination of sound put together one after the other in an orderly sequence to create a pleasant and harmonious output or sound in the ears of the listener. Excellent. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Yes. So we said that is what we define music to be. Of course, there are so many definitions to music, but this is like an all-encompassing definition of music, not just a simplified form, to help us understand the various elements that come together to actually form music. That's why we had to elaborate on that definition. So today, I hope we have all downloaded the PDF file for the music theory session. We'll be looking at the first portion of it today and see how far we can go from there. We'll take a look at the basic level and do the class work together, and then maybe challenge ourselves to go and work on.
Excuse me, Brother Jerry. I don't know if
Yes.
it's me, but the volume is really low and I'm at capacity over here in my volume.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Much better?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was probably speaking softly, and when I speak softly, it drops. Thanks for letting me know. Oh, now I see what happened. Because I was yelling in the morning while singing, so I had to drop the volume to avoid distortions. So, but now that I'm just talking and not singing, the volume needs to come up higher. Hope it's okay now. All right. Thank you. Okay. The staff. This is the basic rudiments to music. So we're introducing us to the staff today in this very session. And I want us to pay close attention and also be ready to chip in whenever there is a question or if I needed an answer. I want us to be as interactive as possible. Basic level, the staff. A note is a symbol used to represent a sound. A note, the notes are placed on a series of 5 horizontal lines called a staff. So just like we have these horizontal lines over here, we place notes on the staff. And then on the bullet point number 2, you see how those 5 lines are numbered. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then spaces. The spaces between the lines are also counted. There are 4 spaces between 5 lines. So each of these lines and each of the spaces are places where you can place a note on them to represent a musical sound, to represent a sound. That's basically what's going on here. It can therefore be stated that a staff is composed of 5 lines and 4 spaces. The position of each note determines the pitch of each sound. Okay? Now, I would like to jump forward and talk about what we refer to in music as chromatic scale. And chromatic scale is a scale that consists of all the notes, all the various pitches that we have in music. So if we begin from the key of C, for example, the next one will be C sharp or D flat. So in this example, I'll be using the small letter B to represent the flat sign. All right. In the absence of a better symbol that represents the flat. And then that is followed by D major, and then D major is followed by D sharp or E flat, followed by E. E has no sharp, so we follow it immediately by F, and this is followed by F sharp or G flat. Maybe I should put the spaces in between them for readability. F sharp or G flat, followed by G, and then we have G sharp or A flat. And then the next key or the next note, musical note, is A, followed by A sharp or B flat. And then we have B, B major, and then a repetition of C, which gives us the octave C. So this C being repeated here makes it an octave away from this C. Now, when you're considering the chromatic scale, this is what you have. Now, in music, we have different kinds of scales, all right? But each of these scales can also be represented on the staff. Now, the most common or popular scale that we have in music is the major scale. And on the key of C, the major scale is basically C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. So the difference is that in the major scale, there are no sharps, there are no flats being played. You're just playing all the major keys. Now, for those of us who are doing voice as our primary instrument, part of the lessons you will have gone through among the videos, and also if you've gotten to the part where you answer the quiz, is that you will have come across some lessons on the major scale. Now you see the benefit of making sure you go through all your materials, both on your primary instrument and also when we meet for the theory of music. Because for someone who has already gone through that, this helps you to solidify your knowledge. Okay, this buttresses the foundation that you've already laid from that other class. So you see how the knowledge of music is transferable. If you know it on one instrument, you can transfer it over to another instrument. It's the same thing. So if a vocalist is talking about key C, a guitarist is also referring to the same key C. A keyboardist is also talking about the same key C. Chromatic scale is chromatic scale anywhere, any day, anytime. Major scale is also the same thing, depending on the key in which you are singing or playing that particular scale. Okay, so that was just to encourage us to make sure you don't skip any lesson. If you are a voice student, go through all your videos, go through the quizzes, try to answer them, and then it will give you more understanding when you come to the theory class. All right, so the chromatic scale, you see that in the chromatic scale, we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The 13th note is the repetition of the C, which makes it an octave. And then in the major scale, we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 notes. And then the 8th note is an octave repetition for the very first note, the C. So, if you have paid attention to what I said so far about the chromatic scale and the major scale, then you should be able to pass the quiz in the voice training. I just gave you the expo. I just gave you the complete expo to that particular question that our vocal coach asked concerning major scale and chromatic scale. Okay. So, we will proceed. Let me reduce this. Annotation. All right. So we said the staff consists of 5 lines and 4 spaces. Okay? The position of each note, wherever you position the note on those 5 lines and 4 spaces, that's what determines the pitch. Now, when we refer to pitch in music, okay, it's one of the qualities of music that simply defines how high or low the quality of a sound is. All right? So, the higher the position of a note, remember how we counted from bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for the lines, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. It means a note that is placed on line 4, a note placed on line 4 is of a higher pitch compared to a note on line 2, 3, or 1. So the higher you go on the line, the higher the pitch of that note being placed on the line. So if you one of the analogies that I personally used to learn the rudiments of music, especially when we're talking about scale, is an actual ladder. So if you have an actual ladder, forgive the very straight line. Okay? When you have a ladder, and somebody's trying to climb this ladder, the right word for describing what the person is doing is, we say the person is scaling a ladder. It simply means the person is climbing or moving up. So he could be moving up or down, scaling up or scaling down. So it's the same meaning that is being inferred in music when we say scale. So you can either scale upwards, C to C sharp to D, you are scaling upwards. So when you are scaling from the left-hand side to the right, you are scaling upwards. And then when you are scaling or moving from the right-hand side to the left, you are moving downwards on the scale. Also moving downwards on the pitch, you are scaling downwards. So if we were to follow this arrangement, it means this ground level on the ladder will be our C. The space here can become our C sharp. Okay? And then the first line can become our D. This can become our D sharp. And then this becomes our E. All right? This becomes our F. Take this to be your G. You see how it's still going to be the same arrangement, whether you're arranging it vertically or you're arranging it horizontally. It's still a scale. You are scaling the ladder, or you are scaling the notes in music in this instance. All right. So, if someone asks you to define what do we mean by scale in music, give them this example. That's the simple way to put it. When you are scaling, it simply means you are moving higher or lower on the staff. And the higher you move, the higher the pitch. The higher you go, the higher the pitch of that sound. And then if you are moving lower, the lower the pitch of that sound. Also, notes can be written above the staff or below the staff using what we call ledger lines. So let me zoom in. If you take a look at this section under number 4, you see that there is an imaginary line here. We call them imaginary line, even though we wrote it out, it's been drawn out that you can see clearly. So this first note here, is it in between two lines or it's on a line? Can someone help answer that? The first note. It's on a line. It's on the second ledger line. Okay? And then this second note is in between, it's above the first line. You see that? So this same line exists over here. And then the third note is right on top of the second line. So you can see the line like striking through that note. So after that, there will be an empty space here, which we can also put another note there as an empty space. All right. So what this tries to help us accomplish, all of these ledger lines or imaginary lines that we have in music, what it helps us to accomplish is that the 5 lines and 4 spaces are not enough to capture the whole range of one individual's vocal pitch, your vocal range, for example, or the range of a musical instrument. All right. Take, for example, this piano before me has about 5 octaves. So when we say 5 octaves, it simply means I can play this chromatic scale, 13 notes, 5 times, over and over again, 5 times. So I needed to have at least close to 76 keys on this keyboard to be able to fully play the chromatic scale. But if I'm looking for 76 keys to play the keyboard, how many lines do we have on the staff and how many spaces? We have 5 lines and we have 4 spaces, giving us a total of 9. You see that? So that's already a limitation. So how can you capture 76 notes of a keyboard in 5 lines and 4 spaces? It's practically impossible. But when you now add all of these ledger lines, when you add the ledger lines, the imaginary lines that helps you to go above or below the staff, then you are able to capture 2nd octave, 3rd octave, 4th octave, 5th octave, and so on and so forth. So that's how it's going to be written when you have a musical instrument, that a particular note you are about to play cannot be found within the 5 lines and the 4 spaces. So you have to create an imaginary ledger line above or below the staff to fit that note into that line. I hope that was clear enough. Yes, no, do I need to repeat? All right. If there are any questions, please feel free to raise your hand or ask in the chat, and I will attend to the question. All right, let's proceed to the next point. Now, we come to what we refer to as the clef. I guess, are we all good with the chromatic and major scale? Can I delete it now? I know that we'll still come across it later on.
I think somebody asked in the chat if you can repeat it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. All right, precious. Let's go over that briefly again. In a nutshell, I was trying to explain that your voice can sing more than 9 notes. Okay? So if you want to practicalize it, you don't have to unmute yourself, but whatever note I play on my keyboard right now, everyone don't unmute yourself. Just stay muted, but try to play the note, either sing it out loud and then use your fingers to count how many of them you are able to play. So you can create those same notes and tell me when. I want to see how many of us are able to go above 10 of those notes. I want to see how many of us can go above 10 of those notes. All right, let's try that. So, how many did you do? 10, more than 10, or less than 10? Can I see your answers in the chat? Okay, more than 10. Awesome. So, if you were able to do more than 10, that means these 5 lines and 4 spaces cannot capture the range of your voice. So the 5 lines and 4 spaces is limited. In order for us to be able to capture the extra notes, the moment you got to 10, 11, 12, 13, and so on, we needed to add what we refer to in music as ledger lines. Okay? So the ledger lines are extra lines. They are extra lines that we place above or below the staff, like this. Extra lines. So all of these extra lines, we refer to them as ledger lines. And these ledger lines, you can actually draw a note on top of them. You can put a musical note on top of these ledger lines. All right? So when you place your notes on these ledger lines, it helps you to be able to capture the extra range of your voice that did not fit into the 5 lines and the 4 spaces. Is that clear enough? Okay. So you need more than 5 lines and 4 spaces to be able to write the range of your voice or the range of a musical instrument. This keyboard over here before me has about 76 keys. but my ledger lines, not ledger lines, but the staff is just 5 lines and 4 spaces. How can I capture 5 lines and 4 spaces to represent 76 keys? Now we have to begin to replicate, or duplicate rather, we have to begin to duplicate the octaves of this chromatic scale. When we finish one chromatic scale, you start all over again. So after this, let's take for example this chromatic scale that we still have on the board. So when we get to this C, can someone tell me what comes next? After the C, what should follow the C? This last C here. What should be the next note after this C? Okay. Awesome. C sharp. That's correct. That's very, very correct. So the next thing will be a C sharp. All right. So we have to keep going and keep going until we get to the 76 keys that my keyboard can produce. But our ledger line, our staff only has 5 lines and 4 spaces. So for us to also get to 76 keys, then we will eventually need to add those ledger lines and keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going until we get to the 76 keys, or the number of octave that your voice can span through. Now, one of the things that they've done so far in the evolution of music theory over the years, which we'll get there shortly, is that they now decided to create 2 different staff and put it together to make what we call the great staff, which we'll see in the next page. Okay, which is basically a combination of the treble and the bass clef. Now I have to delete this. All right. So we say a clef is a sign placed at the beginning of the staff. A clef is a sign placed at the beginning of a staff to determine the name of the notes. So the treble clef cycles around the second line. You see where it cycles on the second line? So that makes us call the treble clef, any note that falls on the treble clef is a G. Okay? And then this is referred to as the bass clef. Treble clef, bass clef. So if you sing soprano, you sing alto, you sing treble, if they're writing a piece of music, your music, if you're looking at maybe a hymn book or any particular piece of music on sheet notation, as a soprano or an alto singer, your focus should be on anything that's on the treble clef. So you pay attention to this section. As a soprano, alto, this is where you pay your attention to. Even though we have what we refer to as an alto clef, that's when you are now going deeper into orchestration, where you are splitting out every musical instrument, every musical note, and separating them out, writing different charts for them. So you have the soprano clef, the treble, alto clef, the tenor clef, bass clef, clarinet, piano, guitar, flute, for everybody separately. That's when you can go into such details. So, but for now, we'll just stick with this staff. That's the great staff, where we have alto and soprano focus on the treble clef, and then tenor and bass, okay, tenor and bass will have their parts written on the bass clef. And then soprano and alto on treble clef. So this is what it's going to look like to help you be able to focus on what matters to you. But a full understanding of everything, you are expected to understand everything, so that for those of us who aspire to become composers or music directors, choir directors, that you get to the point where you can actually teach your vocalists, your worship team, or your choirs how to sing in their parts, then you must understand the full spectrum of the various voice parts. You must understand what soprano should be singing, what alto should be singing, what tenor should be singing, and what bass should be singing. This theoretical foundation will help you achieve that. All right? So remember that a clef is a sign to determine the names of the notes. We have the treble clef and the bass clef. All right? Now, I'm not reading everything exactly as is written, but I'm just explaining what is written. So you go back and do your reading of all of these bullet points for further clarification. And then whenever we meet on Saturdays, if you have any particular questions, I will be able to answer your specific questions. All right, let's move to the next page. I'm not sure. I'm still looking at our time. We'll see how far we can get. Awesome. Yeah, so this is a good okay, so having the treble clef and the bass clef together on this particular staff of 5 lines and 4 spaces, we see how they named each of the notes. Remember that we wrapped the treble clef around the second line, and that line is given the name G. So that's why we have this G over here. All right? And then the very first note for the treble clef is an E. E, G, B, D, F. Those are the names of the lines. Take note, the lines of the treble clef. Okay? And then for the spaces between the 5 lines and 4 spaces, between the 5 lines of the treble clef, F, A, C, E. And then here we have the one for the bass clef. So these are the lines. And then here we have the spaces. That's easier. Why are you trying to write with your mouse? Come on, Jerry. Okay, so now over here we have one of the many fashions for remembering how to label your lines and spaces in music. So for the treble clef, you can say every good boy deserves fudge. I remember my music teacher in those days, instead of calling it fudge, he calls it favor. Every good boy deserves favor. Fair enough. Whatever you feel like using, you can create your own, come up with your own acronyms and synonyms that will help you remember what the lines and spaces are, and then differentiate between the treble and the bass. Then for the spaces of the treble clef, we just keep it at the spelling because it spells an English word. Call it face, F-A-C-E. That's for the spaces. For the bass clef, good boys deserve forge always. And then the spaces, all cars eat gas. My music teacher will say all cows eat grass. So you can create your own, whatever helps you to remember. So we have 10 minutes to go. We probably may not finish up. Okay, so the next thing is exercises, which I will probably go over. Let's do the first one together, and then I will ask everyone to work on the remaining ones on their own, but try to get it done. We can, if you feel like having me review your work now, because it's not binding, all of these exercises, it's not binding, but if you feel like having me review your work, you can either print out the exercise page only, print it out, fill it in with a pencil preferably, so that if you feel you made a mistake, you can clean it out and rewrite the correct answer, and then scan it. But if you feel like doing everything using a PDF reader, feel free to do so. You can answer everything online, not online, I mean on your computer, and then send it back to me, but just that page. So let's take, for example, if you finish answering all of these, okay, you can just do a screenshot or a screen capture. Take a screenshot of your page and then send it to me for review. I'll review it through your through the community or the chat page that we have on the website. I should be able to have you review it, help you review it. Or better still, on the WhatsApp group page, you can just, if that is easier, feel free to do so. Just send a picture of it and then I'll review if there are any corrections. All right, but for now, let's quickly attempt the A question. Name the following notes found in the treble clef and the bass clef. All right, I'll give us the first clue. And hopefully we can take it from there. This note right here is an F. That's for the treble clef. I need to reduce this size. Okay. And then this first note over here, you remember that the bass clef wraps around the F line when you look at the previous page that we went through. So if this line is the F line, and then if you look at your chromatic scale, you see how important your chromatic scale is. You have to make reference to it over and over again. To the left-hand side of your key F, you have a key E. E comes before F. Your chromatic and your major scale, okay? So, but for this exercise, let's focus on the major scale, on the key of C, using the major scale on the key of C. Let me draw that out for us here, or write it out. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then we have another C. So this will help us to answer these questions easily and more accurately. Okay, so if this is line F, to the left of F is E. Remember that we said when you are climbing higher on the scale, you are moving from your left hand side to the right. And then when you are climbing lower on the scale, that's you're moving from the right hand side to the left. So if this line is F, it means this space will be E. So if this space is E, then what will be this line? This line is going to be D. Okay, so this note right here on the bass clef is a D. Now, it may look a little confusing at first, but just try to pay attention to the details. Try to pay attention to the details of each line has a name, each space has a name. All right? Now let's go back to the treble clef. Let's go back to the treble clef. So, we said the first one here is an F. We already established that this is an F. Okay? So if this is F, what's the second line? Second line is G. What is the second space? Second space is A. And then we come to the third line. What is the third line on the treble clef? It's a B. Every good boy. Okay? Every good boy. E, B, E, G, B. So this note that's written on the third line is a B. And then, if this is a B, see this note? Is this note going higher or is going lower? I would like to have an answer for this. Awesome. It's going lower. So if this note is going lower, what is lower than B? The immediate next lower note after a B, based on this major scale here, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So if we are going lower, remember lower, you're moving from right to your left. That's correct, D, but it's too far away. So it's just one step. So if you look at it from this B line on the treble clef, you just moved one step lower. So what note is one step lower from B? One step lower. Try again. Awesome. A. Okay. So A is one step lower from B. From B, one step. Okay. So this becomes your A. And then from A, let's count up to this note. If this is A, the line is B, this space is C, and then this next line is D. So this note becomes a D. Remember the names for the lines of the treble clef. Every good boy deserves D. Okay, the name of the fourth line. And then let's go to the next one. All right, after D, what is the next note to your left? After D, you're coming down. So you come down to C. And after C, you are going up again. C, D, E, F. So you go to an F. Awesome. Thank you very much, Precious. And then, what note is this? The next one. Can someone attempt that? Very close. Thank you, Camille. It's an E. Because it's the first line. The first line of the treble clef. Remember your easy combination of words. Every good boy. All right. And then, how about this? We'll just stop at these 3 notes. Let's try to finish these 3 notes. What's this note? This note is an octave of E. If you remember, F, A, C, E, face. All right. And then we have a repeated note here. Third line. So third line is a B. And then we have another repeated note here. An F. Awesome. So, this is where I'm going to stop tonight. This is where we'll stop. Any questions before the questions come in, if there are? I encourage you all to go and attempt working on these exercises. This is from the basic section of your music theory notes. Someone sent me a message this afternoon that they've downloaded the PDF. Awesome. So I encourage you all to download the PDF. It's free. I got it for free. That's why I'm giving it out for free. So feel free to download it and use it. I would like for us all to go ahead and within the next 1 week try to read the chapter 1. Okay? Read through the bullet points of chapter 1 so that when we meet next Saturday and I'm explaining, it will just be like confirming what you already learned, going over it, and then work on the exercises together. Or if you have any questions, any particular areas that you need further clarification on, we'll go over those ones. Okay. One more chance. Any questions? For the last time. Any questions? No questions. All right. Thank you all for showing up today. Make sure you finish your exercises. Send them to me for review. Someone said they are not in the WhatsApp group. So, if you are registered, let me share that screen. If you are a registered user in the community section, I believe we added the where did we add the WhatsApp group? Okay, yes. So, if you are a registered member, if you go to the community section, okay, you'll see the 2-month intensive music bootcamp where we have the guidelines for the 2-month intensive. So if you scroll down, this is the link to join the WhatsApp group. Use this link. You can use this link to join the WhatsApp group. Let me see. Maybe I can just paste it in the chat right now for whoever wants to use it immediately. Yep, it's in the chat. So, all right. Guitarists, acoustic guitarists, give me the next 24 hours and you'll have your video lessons uploaded for you to start working on it. Thank you very much for your patience. And thank you all for showing up tonight. God bless you all. I look forward to seeing us again next week. Same time, same venue. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome.